Peace lasted exactly 13 minutes. That's how long it took before the skies above Yeti Bob's valley split apart with fire and steel. One moment, laughter echoed across the council of many, humans and cryptids sharing food, songs, and stories under the rising dawn. The next, nets rained down from the heavens. Glowing chains snapped across the courtyard, pinning cryptids and humans alike. Hunters' airships screamed overhead, dropping cages and machines that hissed like serpents. The council's torches went dark in the smoke. Screams filled the air. And standing in the center of it all, Yeti Bob turned toward the storm and whispered, "Not again." Then he ran straight toward it. The first nets hit hard, iron-threaded and burning with static. The sky serpents thrashed in panic, the river folk scattered, the desert beasts roared as explosions shook the valley walls. Hunters dropped in from the airships, helmets gleaming, weapons pulsing blue. Their leader shouted through a speaker, "Contain the cryptids! Subdue the humans if they resist!" A desert elder struck back with a blast of sand that tore through a mech's leg. The river cryptids retaliated with torrents of water, sending hunters sliding helplessly down the muddy slope. But amid the chaos, old fears began to rise. Humans grabbed torches, cryptids bared fangs, confusion twisted into blame. "Get back!" one villager shouted. "They brought this here!" A river cryptid hissed, "You led them to us!" The alliance was breaking, exactly what the hunters wanted, and that's when Yeti Bob climbed onto the council table, waving his arms. "Hey, stop yelling! You're missing the point!" Everyone turned. Even the hunters paused. Yeti Bob's voice cracked, but his words carried, "Don't fight each other! Fight for each other!" The next few minutes, chaos and comedy. The mimic, perched on a fallen signpost, began shouting orders in perfect hunter voices. "Retreat! No! Advance! Capture the trees!" Half the hunters obeyed, slamming into each other, nets tangling into a giant metallic spiderweb. The fox, quick and clever, darted into the stables. Moments later, a thunderous mooing echoed across the valley as every cow, goat, and horse stampeded straight through the hunter lines. The river cryptids found the bakery's water supply still flowing and turned the pipes into high-pressure cannons. Flour, dough, and soup blasted through the air. The desert cryptids, thinking fast, used hardened bread bricks from the previous council dinner as improvised projectiles. "Duck!" Yeti Bob yelled. Thunk! A hunter went down, covered in crumbs. Yeti Bob tried to coordinate, but slipped on a pie, slid across the table, and landed squarely in a stew pot. He emerged, dripping gravy, holding a spoon like a sword. "Guess I'm the main course," he muttered. Everyone laughed, even in the middle of battle, and somehow, that laughter spread. The hunters regrouped, forming ranks. Their leader raised a shock baton high. "End this farce!" But the cryptids and townsfolk, once divided, now fought side by side. Sky serpents looped through the air, tangling nets and flipping machines. River cryptids formed shimmering walls of water to block the hunters' taser blasts. Desert beasts stomped their claws into the ground, raising barriers of stone. Yeti Bob darted between them all, shouting encouragement, tripping occasionally, laughing always. When a hunter aimed at a river child, Yeti Bob tackled him aside, right into a pile of hay. He stood up, face covered in straw, grinning. "Good news! I found the soft spot." That grin became contagious. Even as the hunters' machines roared louder, the people and cryptids fought harder, not with rage, but with joy. For the first time, they moved as one. Then, the ground trembled. A deep, ancient rumble rolled through the valley. The hunters froze. From the mountains beyond the cliffs, a colossal shape emerged. Half stone, half storm. Eyes glowing like molten gold. The mountain guardian had awakened. It stepped into the battlefield, each movement shaking the earth. Chains shattered in its presence. The hunters' engines stuttered, their machines flickering and failing. The guardian's voice echoed like thunder over water. "Enough!" Every creature fell silent. Even the wind held its breath. The Guardian gazed down at Yeti Bob, still standing in a stew-stained shirt, holding a broken spoon. "You stand between them," it said. "Not to divide, but to bind." The glow in its eyes brightened. "You are the first great bridge." Yeti Bob blinked. What? I'm a bridge?" The Guardian smiled faintly. "Not of stone, of spirit." With that, it raised its hand, and a surge of light spread through the valley, sealing broken earth, healing wounds, calming hearts. The hunters panicked. Their leader shouted for retreat. One final blast from their airship sent smoke cascading across the sky as they fled in humiliation. But not before the leader glared down, voice trembling with fury. "You've made yourself known, Yeti Bob. The society will not forget this." And then they were gone. Silence settled again. The valley glistened with morning dew and broken chains. Cryptids and humans looked around, stunned, bruised, exhausted, but alive. Yeti Bob stood at the center, soup-streaked and smiling weakly. "Well," he said, "I'd call that a win. Messy, but a win." Laughter broke out. Cheers followed. For the first time, the Council of Many roared in true unity. The mimic flapped onto Yeti Bob's shoulder, mimicking his voice. "Messy win! Messy win!" the fox barked proudly. Then, as the celebration quieted, the Mountain Guardian approached once more. It unfurled a massive stone hand, inside it a glowing map, etched in golden light. Yeti Bob stared as points began to appear across it, not just in their valley, but across oceans, mountains, and continents. Each glowing mark pulsed like a heartbeat. "Other bridges," the Guardian said. "Other bonds waiting to be built. The world is vast, and not yet at peace." Yeti Bob looked up, the reflection of that glowing map in his eyes. He smiled, tired but certain. "Then I guess we've got work to do." The Guardian bowed. The cryptids cheered. The clouds parted, revealing the rising sun. If you believe bridges can be built between any world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us when Yeti Bob's next journey begins.